Okay, so I think we pretty much finished the sixth area of bitachon. I'm sorry, the fifth area of bitachon, which dealt with mitzvahs between a person and basically between adam lechaver, between man and his fellow. So it's an interesting slant that the Chovos Halevavos has on that the bitachon a person has to have in those mitzvahs is that he's doing it for him. He's doing it for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for Hashem, and not for reward. It seems like the big nisayon, according to Chovos Halevavos, the big nisayon in that area is that a person gives a lot of tzedakah, or a person is the big Baal Chesed, he's the one in charge of whatever the Chesed organization is, and he kind of gets like a name, kind of a reputation for being the big Baal Chesed, and it's hard for it not to go to his head. So basically the crux of the Chelek HaChamishi was having the right attitude, as Rabbi Miller says it, that a person does, you try to be as discreet as possible. When it comes to these mitzvahs, a person tries to be as discreet and keep it away from everyone else as possible. And when he has to, when it's impossible to hide the fact that he's involved in chesed, he does so, but he thinks to himself that I'm not going to gain from people being aware of my chesed. I'm not going to gain from the fact that this person's aware I'm doing chesed, that might come back in the future to help me. I can think that, it's probably not also ideal, but I can think that maybe the schus of my chesed will help me, but that's whether or not a person finds out about it. So once people find out about the chesed or the mitzvah I'm doing, that creates a tremendous challenge for me to think to myself, I won't gain from the knowledge of this chesed, that people know that I'm doing this mitzvah, I'm not going to gain from that. That was one section, the first part of the bitachon a person has to have when it comes to mitzvahs between him and his fellow man. And in that section, Rabbi Miller pointed out that this is a very high level. It's a tall order. And it doesn't mean that a person who is the Baal Chesed because he enjoys the title or, whatever the mitzvah person, in Bein Adam L'Chaveroi is, he excels in, he enjoys that title, doesn't mean he shouldn't do it. As we said over last time from the Slonim Rebbe with the Yeshivas Bein Hazmanim, there are things that really shouldn't be happening, but you should let them happen anyway, because as the Gemara says, and a person doing it for kavod, he'll end up doing it for the Shem Shemayim. As we said last time, there are some Rabbanim and some Rosh Hashiva who are makpid that the donor puts his name on the building, because we know that encourages other people to empty their pockets, and at the end of the day, that is a tremendous mitzvah. So therefore, while it's not ideal, it's definitely praiseworthy. The second element of bitachon when it comes to these mitzvahs, Rabbi Miller refers to as avoiding self-satisfaction. So a person shouldn't think chas v'shalom that the mitzvah he's doing is like a favor to Hashem. Like, Hashem, I'm taking care of you. I'm taking care of you. That being said, there's a concept. When Lakewood started all their koilim, this was told over to the first two koilim of Lakewood, if I'm not mistaken, was Toronto and Melbourne, both of which I had a chus to learn in, both of those koilim. So Toronto and Melbourne were the first two koilim. And so Melbourne for sure was a midbar shmama. I mean, to a large extent, there's very little going on there, especially for a Litvische Lakewood younger man. You're going into a place that was extremely different than your own. Sects of Orthodox Judaism are very, very different and be very, very challenging. But Rabbi Aaron Kotler, he was very nifty. It was Rabbi Shner who set it up. But Rabbi Aaron used to say, when it came to these things, that that Hashem says, if you take care of my children, I'll take care of your children. That was the concept. There's a friend of mine who ended up being a Rav in Sydney for a tkuvi, and then he moved back to Lakewood. He said that's what Rav Malkiel told him, that if he has a Masorah from his grandfather, that if you take care of Hashem's children, he'll take care of your children. The Chovos Halevavos is saying that a person, when he does a mitzvah, he's not doing a favor to Hashem. That's a specific Indian when it comes to kiruv, when it comes to spreading Torah, and a person's concerned for his own children's chinuch. There's a concept that if you take care of Hashem's children, he'll take care of your children. But b'derech klal, if a mitzvah comes my way and a poor person knocks on my door, I don't view it as, Hashem, I'm gonna do you a favor. Please scratch my back. That's not how it works. We have to view a mitzvah coming to our door, and this is part of bitachon when it comes to these mitzvahs, as an opportunity for me to do chesed. That Hashem is gracing me with the option, with the ability to do a mitzvah, and Hashem is doing me the favor. As we said off from Rabbi Sipper last time, that Hatzal and Ani are the same gematria. You have to realize the Ani is the merit through which we won't require the Hatzalah to come to our doors. The only comes to our door. So therefore, that's how one should view the opportunity to these mitzvahs. That being said, one must be responsible as well. We discussed in the past, probably between the shiur between Mincha and Ma'ariv, that there's an obligation, if one is giving significant money, however we define significant, there's an obligation that the one makes sure that that money goes to a worthy cause. We're not saying that everyone who knocks on the door, you give him thousands of dollars or even hundreds of dollars. Rabbi Yoshev holds that there's an obligation, everyone agrees to this, that one has to make sure his money is going to a worthy cause. That being said, whatever person can, one has to realize that anyone who's coming and knocking on the door is an opportunity, and one should not view it as an annoyance, and one should not view it as a favor to Hashem. So those are the two areas of bitachon when it comes to mitzvahs between man and his friend. Number one, the challenge of keeping it inside, the challenge of a person realizing that it's an opportunity for me to connect to Hashem, and it's not, I'm doing a favor to Hashem. Those are the two areas of bitachon. The sixth and seventh area of bitachon, and when we finish, Hashem will come back and do a sikum, a summary of all of them. The sixth and seventh are, to an extent, the most challenging because they have the least to do with this world. If we realize the first three were totally focused on this world, it was taking care of myself, taking care of my parnasa, taking care of the people I interact with. That's completely olam hazeh. Then areas 4 and 5 dealt with mitzvahs. Ben adam l'makom, ben adam l'chaveru. The sixth and seventh deal with like reward, which is like world to come type of stuff. So that's a little more esoteric and a little harder for us to understand. And we'll see, we're going to skip parts and we're not going to go through all of it. So it says the Chovos Halevavos, this is page 351 in the version that we're learning. The sixth part of bitachon, who b'gmol ha'olam hazeh v'olam haba, relates to reward in this world and in the world to come in olam haba. That a man deserves a reward in return for all his good deeds that Hashem expects him to do in this world. We have, this world is the place to do the mitzvahs. A person has to have bitachon that the reward can come in two primary forms. A person sometimes gets rewarded in this world, and that's it. His entire reward is in this world. Some mitzvahs, he gets his reward only in the world to come. And in certain cases, he gets both. They get reward in this world and in the world to come. Now the Chovos Halevavos makes a very interesting observation about our Torah, and then he goes off on what we'll call a bit of a tangent. So, now, it has not been fully explained to us what the reward is when a person does Hashavas Aveda, when a person does, he lends money. The reward is not so clear. However, Hashem is guaranteed to his people a general reward for the deeds in general. For example, he said, no, not for example, first he explains this Nakuda. He did not specify the payment for the various kinds of service in this world, like Hashem has done for the transgressions. For example, there are many mitzvahs, many averos, I should say, many transgressions. The one who does the transgression, he violates the transgression. So there's certain acts, there's the 4 types of death that Bezdin theoretically and sometimes, very rarely, would actually administer: stoning, burning, decapitation, and strangulation. The 4 forms of death. Umalchus arboim, umisa v'karis, 40 lashes, premature death and death. Tashlumei kefo, payment of a double fine. For theft, tashlumei arba v'chamishin, certain times the gun of the thief has to pay 4 or 5 times. And then he goes to the arba avos nezikin, the 4 major categories of damages: v'nezek, shor, bor, v'shein, v'eish, v'noisim ba'adam, v'shalachas yad mabushav, v'moitzi shema v'adoim lazeh. So for all the averos that we have, for the vast majority, HaKadosh Baruch Hu delineates very clearly in the Torah what the punishment is. But the reward and punishment in the world to come, so the Moshe Rabbeinu did not specify anything. If you just read the Torah, Chumash, just the Chumash, you won't necessarily see anything about the world to come. It doesn't appear there's any reward in the world to come. Obviously with Chazal, we can't understand the Torah Shebachsav without Chazal. But if one would just look at the Torah, as the Chovos Halevavos observes, Moshe Rabbeinu did not put any information directly in the Torah about the reward or the punishment in the world to come. Ba'avur kam upon him, and this is for a number of reasons. So this is the part that we're going to skip. He goes through 7 reasons why the Torah does not have really anything about Olam Haba. I mean, Olam Haba be'etzem is a place of reward and punishment. That's what it is. And there's nothing in the Torah directly relating to that. So Oz Yoshia, there are hints here and there where we see that it's true, but nothing clearly. Now, the basic theme in the 7 reasons the Chovos Halevavos brings is that try to explain to a 2-year-old, I have a 2-year-old, I'm trying to explain to her that if you walk in the street and you're not careful, so a car might come and not see the child, and chas v'shalom hit the child can get very, very badly injured. Try to explain that to a 2-year-old. It's impossible. It's impossible. So you have to just figure out a way to communicate to them certain things that are not acceptable. So says the Chovos Halevavos that just like we're born into this world as babies who don't understand anything, and as we get older we understand more and more in a purely Olam Hazeh fashion, more and more. So too, when a person dies, it's really a birth to the next world. So with the same amount of information and understanding, comprehension we have when we come to this world is pretty much the same amount of comprehension we have vis-a-vis the world to come. A simple illustration of that is, in the world to come, it doesn't exist in time or space. So go figure that one out, right? It's beyond our comprehension to understand how you can have an existence that has no time and there's no space. How can you exist if there's no time and space? So we can't even begin to fathom what Olam Haba is, let alone understand what the reward is in Olam Haba. It's like telling a 2-year-old that you might get hurt if you walk in the street without looking both ways. So we can't comprehend it. Therefore, it's not written there. Chazal hint to us that there is a world to come. Now, Chazal tell us, and they find hints in the Torah, there is a world to come. But there's no point of the Torah describing that because we wouldn't understand it. So that's what the Chovos Halevavos explains here, but it's very long and a little bit for us, we'll call it convoluted. And therefore, I don't want to we can spend probably months. If we learn 20 minutes a night, 4 nights a week, we'd spend months on it. So we're going to skip over that part for now. Maybe at a different time we'll come back to it. So that's the 6th. So the 6th area of bitachon is bitachon in reward and trusting that we will get, even though we don't know what it is. And Hashem tells the Nevi'im, ayin le'rasa, an eye cannot understand. We can't be toifus, grasp the world to come. But you should know, rest assured that it does exist and it will be, and the reward will be waiting for us when we get there. So that's the 6th area of bitachon. And we'll just begin now in the last few minutes of Al Pirush HaChelek HaShvi. This is page 374. The 7th part of bitachon, V'hu v'chesed ha'elokim al b'chirov u'sgulasa b'olam haba. It's concerned with the trust and in the special kindness of Hashem towards His chosen ones in the world to come. This is a fascinating. One would have thought that this is in the realm of bitachon, of trust in Hashem. So this 7th part is trusting Hashem with things concerning the bechirov uskulasai, the way Hashem deals with His chosen people. B'roiv ha'toivus, in the bountiful good things that He will shower upon them, asher lo yinuchal l'sapor, in such a generous outpouring that we will not be able to count them. Often the Yosher B'tachon Elokim Boy, what's the proper manner of trusting in Hashem vis-a-vis this? In other words, there's a concept that the people that are on Hashem's team, His Bechirav, His Skulasai, His chosen nation, will get a tremendous amount of reward. How do I have bitachon when it comes to that? Zok Chovos Halevavos. She is asik besibas hamagiyos oisoi el madregas hachasidim haruim lazem me'es elokim yisbarach b'chazda. If we trust, if I believe that there's a tremendous reward waiting for those chasidim, those tzaddikim that are on Hashem's team, then I will do whatever it takes. I'll be actively engaged in those things that bring me to this high level of the pious people that are fit for this great reward from Hashem. Right? So if I believe in it, then I will do myself what it takes to become one of them. Just like we said before, Rabbi Miller said, a litmus test, whether we have bitachon, is davening. Right? If a person is concerned about COVID, and we're all concerned, so if that concern expresses itself in tefillah, now again, the limud schus is that we're very busy, and even though, in a sense, our lives are freer now, we're not running around, but I just don't always have the presence of mind when I'm davening to focus. When a person has the presence of mind and he's relaxed and he's thinking in his tefillah that Hashem controls everything, and he davens to Hashem to protect him and others from COVID, from the pandemic, from the virus. So that shows he's about bitachon. The bitachon is seen from the fact that he's davening. Zok the Chovos Halevavos over here that if one believes that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to give a tremendous amount of good to those, his bechira, of his chosen people, then I'm going to do whatever I can to be one of them. He should act in accordance with the qualities of those who abstain. So how does how does he define these chasidim? So he says, with abstaining, very strong words, which Rabbi Miller is going to explain, who reject this world. One becomes a person who rejects this world, and he removes the love for this world and his desire for it from his heart. And he should exchange it for love for Hashem. And to be devoted to Hashem, and to delight in Hashem, and be repulsed by this world and its inhabitants. These are the words of the Chovos Halevavos. And follow the practices of the prophets and the devoted, and have his heart batuach belokim. He will do chesed with me, just like he doesn't do chesed with the big tzaddik. Now, Rabbi Miller says, and we'll expand this tomorrow night, that he does not mean that when a person eats bread, he should hope that his bread is tasteless. That's not what the Chovos Halevavos means. On the contrary, there's the whole Shaar Habitachon. We have an obligation to look into the world and appreciate all the geschmack zachin that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put in the world for us. We have to appreciate everything we have. We know that Rabbi Miller has his famous shiur on the orange and how delicious it is. And, and all of the pleasures that Hashem put into this world is the reason why the orange is a beautiful orange, for us to enjoy that. So the Chovos Halevavos can't mean that a person should close his eyes and just eat tasteless food. There's a whole Shaar Habitachon. So Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow night, we'll probably start again from the Chelik HaShvi'i, and we'll explain clearly what the Chovos Halevavos means based on the understanding of Rabbi Avigdor Miller. We'll hold here for tonight.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening, Rabbi.
You too. Take care. Shkoyach.